Happy Friday, everybody. Finally, it's here. And I'm so excited to talk about Lincoln Property Company. And I've got Matt Kessler with us today. He's the property management for Idaho. And it's exciting to talk with you, Matt, and to help share Lincoln Properties investment here in Idaho, especially Boise, and to share a little bit about the company's origin and some of their projects here in Idaho, as well as learning about you. And Matt, these chamber check-ins, I've been featuring chamber member businesses for over 3.5 years. And it's just a great way for me to help share what our members are doing and the products and services they offer, as well, again, as the people. So Matt, tell us a little bit about your background and history of work that led you to working with Lincoln Property Company.
Absolutely. First, thank you, Paul, for having me. Excited for the opportunity to be talking with you and kind of explaining more about who Lincoln Property is and why we're here in the Valley as well. And obviously appreciate the support that the Boise Chamber has shown us in our short time here already as well. So I've been in Idaho for about 3.5 years now. Like a lot of people, I moved here in the heart of COVID, early 2020. But I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. That's where I was born and raised. Ended up going to college out there as well. And my wife, who is from Idaho, came to college out there too. So that was kind of the connection between the two. Though ironically, my mom's side of the family is from the Coeur d'Alene area. So I have relationships back in Idaho, but I had never been to Idaho. So it's kind of weird how it all worked out that way. But yeah, in college, I studied philosophy and political science, which basically means I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. So it didn't necessarily set me up for a clear path going forward out of college, but kind of ended up moving around a little bit. I played soccer in college, so soccer ended up taking me to Cincinnati, Ohio for a little bit. And so once that's where my soccer career ended as well. And so we got married while we were there. Started working in logistics for a company called DHL, which is a lot like FedEx and UPS, just kind of more at the international level, and worked there for a little bit before going back to Memphis for 2 years. And then my wife got a little homesick. So that kind of opened up our eyes to look at Idaho, and because her whole family's here, she's one of 5 siblings, and they're all, I think, from oldest to youngest, 6 years apart. So they're all super close too. And we have 3 daughters. So having our kids grow up with their cousins and whatnot was important to us. So started looking back here, ended up getting connected with the guys at BVA. And that ended up being my start in real estate, and then specifically property management. So came here in 2020, started working with them June, I think it was 2020, in the property management side. And I mean, obviously they've been growing like crazy for the past five years now, I think it is. So it was a great company to get in with from the beginning. Thankful to them as well, because I mean they kind of took a risk on me, not necessarily having background in property management or real estate, and so they kind of helped me get my feet underneath me, learn the ropes a bit in the property management world, which is extremely helpful. And real estate's all about networking and connections, right? And it was through a connection that I ended up getting this opportunity with Lincoln Property Company. So I came over at the beginning of this year to head up their property management efforts here in Boise. And then kind of that's where we're focused at the moment, but obviously would ideally like to grow throughout Idaho as well. And they really wanted someone here in person that knew the market, that could build those relationships, and really try to get that hitting the ground and running as quickly as possible. And so that's kind of how I got to this point.
Well, welcome to Boise, Matt. I know 3.5 years, you probably got your feet real wet and maybe 1 foot on the ground at almost 2.
Yeah.
It takes a bit of time, and I'm glad you realize that it is about relationships in Idaho and in your industry. It's remarkable that the time it takes to get business done and to earn your relationships, that's some of the best stories out there. Right. So again, welcome to Boise, Matt, and congratulations on on your new appointment with Lincoln Property Companies. So that leads me to wanting to know more about Lincoln Property Companies. You joined the chamber maybe this year and invested in the Boise Valley Economic Partnership. And tell us a little bit about the origin story of Lincoln Property Company and kind of where it was founded and when and how. And then we'll dive in and another question on all of its services. Because when I was reading the website, Matt, I was astounded by all the different offerings, and it's one of the largest real estate management companies in the country.
Yeah. Yeah. So Lincoln as a company has been around for probably 60 to 65 years now. So they got their start down in Dallas, Texas. And that's where our headquarters are today as well. But they ended up starting from a guy named Mac Pogue, who worked with Trammell Crow, which obviously, if you're in real estate, everyone knows who Trammell Crow is, massive developer that's been around forever. And it's kind of funny how it seems like a lot of the major real estate companies, or at least development companies today, can kind of trace their origins back to some sort of affiliation with Trammell Crow. But yeah, he broke off from Trammell Crow and ended up starting his own group called Lincoln Property Company. And they got their start more on the residential side, kind of high-end luxury residential development and management. And they were successful with it. And so that kind of pushed them to grow into the commercial realm as well. And so they became this large residential and commercial developer and manager of these properties that's grown across the country now. I mean, we have offices in pretty much every major market across the country. Boise is probably our smallest market. And we also have a couple offices over in Europe as well. And so it's really, really taken off in that 65-year time frame. But then Boise in particular, so our office here is almost to the day, I think, 2 years old. It was August of 21 where we kind of planted the flag here. And that was started through Trevor Nickel, who he and I actually worked together at BVA for a while. And Trevor's grown to be a really well-known name here in the Valley and has done a lot of great things, built a lot of great relationships with people. And he was hungry for more, and Lincoln was hungry to get into the market. Cause I mean, I came in right at the beginning of COVID, right? And it kind of started pre-COVID, but even when I came in, like, I quickly found out how many people wanted to be here, right? And not just people coming to live here, but businesses that wanted to come and plant their flag here as well, right? And obviously you guys at the chamber know that probably better than anyone else. And Lincoln was one of them. They saw the opportunity here on the real estate side. They saw an opportunity to come in and do some development. They saw an opportunity to come in and provide some third-party service expertise. And I think one thing that I'm proud of, at least as being a part of Lincoln now, is when those groups started to come in, because Lincoln wasn't the only one, right? There were other groups coming in that may have been on the bigger end, more national groups and whatnot, but they started to come into the market and then they backed out once COVID hit, economic conditions changed a little bit. But Lincoln stuck to it. They were committed to this market and still are committed to this market over the long term, right? And going back to that relationship side, I think that's what makes our community very different from a lot of these other markets. I mean, real estate in general, yes, is relationship driven, but the Treasure Valley in particular is very relationship driven. It takes time to build that trust. It takes time to find those opportunities and work with each other to where everyone wins and we're able to actually have these thriving projects and opportunities that form out of these relationships and benefit the entire community. And that's something that we saw early on, something that we continue to see now, and that's important to us. And so I think it's important to know that Lincoln is here for the long haul as well. I mean, with the different developments that we already have established with the third-party services, we're trying to continue to grow here. We're not going anywhere. And we know Boise is going to keep growing. Depends on who you are, whether you say it's a secondary market or maybe tertiary market, right? But it's going to keep growing, keep moving up. And we're excited to be a part of that. We're grateful to have the ability to be a part of that growth and hopefully be a part of some really positive changes that are happening here.
Well, again, 35 cities across the United States and locations across the globe. And now in Boise. That's so awesome. Matt, what are some of the services that we would recognize that Lincoln Property Company offers?
Sure. I mean, the easiest way to say it, right, is we're vertically integrated. I mean, that's kind of the sum all. It basically just means we can do pretty much everything in-house. We have our team of experts across all these platforms. And so as you get into services, I mean, asset management, right? That's a service that we do. And I guess maybe I should say so we are owners and developers as well, right? And so we're able to provide all of these services to others because we're providing these services to ourselves as well through our own developments that we're doing. And so that's kind of where our expertise comes from is, hey, we're actually in the day-to-day of doing this for our own products. And we want to be able to help other people accomplish those same goals or whatever their goals are, right? And so ranging from asset management, property management, obviously, is kind of my world and what I do. Construction management, accounting, leasing, which it kind of is market dependent. So like here, we rely more on other groups with leasing and brokerage and whatnot, and we can kind of oversee that process. And we have people sitting in other offices, Portland, Seattle, whatever, that work with brokers here that help us get opportunities and get things done as well. So we may not be the actual broker on the job, but we can still manage that process, right? We have a thing called occupier services. And what that means basically is it's kind of like owner's rep. And so that's where at a national scale, it gets pretty cool because we've been able to work with groups like Google and Netflix and Apple and right, a bunch of these other big names to where we come in and we're basically hired by them to either build an entire building for them, right? Or just build a TI for them. And we help them through the design of it, the planning of it, the actual construction of it, controlling all of those costs, getting the most bang for your buck type of thing, right? And so that's a really big service that we like to try to help people out with is that occupier services group. So it allows us to kind of work with landlords and with businesses as they look to expand in different spaces as well.
Yeah, I was blown away by all the different things that maybe a third party would take care of, but you guys all have that in-house. Tell me about, and this is the most exciting part of our conversation. Let's talk about some Idaho projects. Yeah. What would we recognize out there that Lincoln Property Company is part of?
Yeah, number one, you're probably going to recognize is River Club, right? So that's over in Garden City or right at the Garden City, Boise limits there. And golf club used to be called the Plantation. Now it's called the River Club. We got brought in on that. Everything we do is a joint venture. So it just means we've got partners in the deal. So we partnered up with the golf course owner. And the big plan of that is there's a front 22 acres along State Street there that we're going to end up developing. And then the rest of the golf course will be sold back to the golf course owner. And because of where we're developing, I think we take up 2 different holes. I want to say they're 10 and 11. So they're going to have to reconfigure the golf course. But I mean, if you've been there recently, which I know the Chamber just had a golf tournament there that I played in, not well, but I played in it. They've already done some really cool improvements to it. I mean, they're adding a ton of pickleball courts, which is obviously the new craze that everyone's into. They've got bocce ball courts there. They're putting in a new driving range there as well that, from what I hear, sounds like it'll have some Topgolf-like technology attached to it, which would be really cool. They redid their kitchen and bar area. So they're doing a ton of improvements, and they'll redesign the golf course. I think they're updating the irrigation and whatnot. So it really should be this really cool, great golf course that's going to compete with some of those more higher end golf courses in the Valley as well. And it's going to be great for our development too, right? Because that becomes a built-in amenity for what we're developing along State Street. And so our development there will be 3 different phases. As long as everything sticks to kind of what the plan is now, I believe phase 1 will be more of your age-restricted type community, so kind of that 55-plus group. So highly amenitized, great finishes for them. And then phase 2 will be more of your market rate standard apartments. And then phase 3 is kind of this new product that's gained a lot of traction nationally, build to rent townhomes. And so that's a little bit of a newer product for us, but a lot of our partners are interested in it. Like I said, nationally, it's gaining a lot of traction as well because it's fitting that demographic of people, whether they be maybe the younger generation or the older generation that's looking to downsize a bit. They're renting because they want to, not because they have to, right? And they want a smaller space, but they still kind of want a small yard so they can have their dog or cat or whatever go out in the yard, things like that. But it's a lot less upkeep, and it just fits more of their lifestyle. And so it'll be in total probably 700 plus different units throughout the entire development. So it'll be a big
best
change.
Property too.
Yeah, a lot of foot traffic there. Obviously, there'll be some boutique retail going in as well to really give it that whole community feel for the residents there, and hopefully make it just a really great staple product for that community.
Okay. And that's not the only thing you're working on in Idaho. Can you sprinkle a little bit of information on the other couple of things?
Sure. So we've got 2 other ones that are in the works right now, both on the industrial side, right? So the one that is actively under construction, you can drive out there now, and they've got the walls up and everything, is out in Caldwell, off of 2026. So you've got the North Ranch development, which is BVA stuff, right, with the new D&B and whatnot. Right across the street there is the Sky Ranch Business Park. A lot more industrial development going on, but we've got 2 buildings over there. The main building is 336,000 square feet, I believe.
Wow.
With a ton of yard space behind it. And then there's a smaller building just offset on the backside that's about 60,000. So in total, 400K across the 2. Build to spec. And so looking to hopefully get some great tenants coming in there to really continue to feed into the industrial need in this area. And obviously there's a lot of industrial product coming on. So, but we're hopeful it'll still be in demand as well.
Build it, they will come, Matt. Build it, they will
come.
Exactly.
And they've been trying to come for a while now, right? So
yep.
trying to provide that space for them. And then the other one is over close to Micron. There's the Winco Distribution Center over there. It's right next door. Some vacant land there that we're working on, which would be another industrial development. Probably about 1.2 million square feet.
Wow.
And the play there, right, is with the Micron expansion, really just trying to provide a home for those groups that are coming in to support them in their operations as they continue to grow and get bigger. And with the location and proximity to that Micron plant, we think it could be a really good opportunity for those groups to come in. And we're excited too, because it kind of offsets the current product that's coming online. So like Caldwell project will probably be done into Q1, beginning of Q2 next year. We'll probably start construction at River Club end of next year, maybe beginning of 25. But this industrial over by the Winco Distribution Center, looking to start construction sometime in the first half of next year and bring that product online in 2025 when it seems like there's not a ton of other products in that industrial realm coming online at that point in time.
There's not a lot of spec buildings in the valley where businesses can, walk into and take a look at it and do some tenant improvements and move in. And that's been a big hurdle for us to recruit companies to the region because we didn't have anything. So thank you for taking that leap of faith and that risk. But as you know, this is a growing place and it'll get filled up.
Absolutely.
Okay. Hey, so I just wanted to give you a few more minutes while we have you. I'm going to put your website and on the bottom of the screen so people can come look at some of the deeper dive into some of their services and the About Us story and the team and all the cities. And most importantly, the portfolio of work. It's huge. And I love just scrolling through that and some of those beautiful buildings and some of the brands that you're talking about earlier. But what else would you want to educate the public on while I have you today talking about LPC?
Sure. I think the part that's probably most impactful outside of our developments, right, is it's going to be those third-party services that we can provide. And I mean, that is the majority of our business, of the revenue that we bring in is those third-party services. I don't think a lot of people know that. They probably assume the developments that we do is kind of our bread and butter and what really brings in the revenue for us. But our main income stream is those third-party services, especially on the property management and occupier services or construction management side. And it's unique, right? I think you go to the website, you look at all these massive buildings and whatnot, these beautiful buildings in these other major markets like in LA, a Portland, whatever, right? And some of those in Boise are no names that you don't want to say because there's a reason why they're struggling over there as well. But I think one point to highlight is, yes, we know how to do that stuff and we love doing that stuff and doing that kind of big product and whatnot. But what makes us different as well is we're very flexible. We can do the major stuff and we can do the smaller stuff. And not that the smaller stuff isn't major as far as like its importance, right? But it's different. And the way that you approach it is different. And at the heart of what we do is providing a service to the owner. And what they want, our job is to make that vision come to life, right? And we think we know that better than most because we are owners. Therefore, we think like owners. And so when we approach someone else's projects, performing whatever third-party service you want to fill in the blank with, right? We come to that not saying, hey, here's how we do it and think it needs to be done because these are our goals and we think you should have the same. It's, hey, let us listen to what your vision is. We want to bring your vision to life, right? Because this is your project, but we're going to take care of it and we're going to complete this project like it's our own baby because that's the lens through which we have to view everything. And so I think that's where the majority of our value comes from is through that customer experience, through the value that we add from being owners as well and seeing everything through that ownership mentality, and the ability to be flexible. I mean, being privately owned allows us to be flexible. This is, as far as like national companies or global companies go, this is probably the most horizontal company I've ever come across as far as like, if I want to get in touch with one of our executives, I can do that really easily.
They're watching this call right now anyway. So
yeah, exactly. Right. But they're all extremely invested in what we're doing in every market. And then even what we're doing here in the Boise market as well. And they want to see this market grow and continue to get better. And so they have that vested interest to where if we were working with a group here and it was like, hey, I really need, Clay Duval or David Binswingers, those are our co-CEOs for the company now. Like I can get in touch with them and bring them in on the project. Right. And I don't think you find that in a lot of different firms. There's a bit more hierarchy, a bit more red tape. And so all that to say, we have this incredible deep bench of resources to tap into, which I think goes a long way in what we're able to offer, and couple that with the flexibility of how we're able to get small when we need to get small, cut costs where we need to get costs or cut costs. I mean, for example, in Oregon, at a retail center, we saved an owner $30,000, I think, in the first year that we managed it.
Oh, wow.
And obviously that's an extreme case, right? But that kind of attests to the detail through which we come into these different projects. And again, that ownership mentality to make sure that we're helping that owner, that landlord, that business, whatever the project is, get everything they can out of the project that they're trying to get done.
And having your client's best interests in mind first and foremost. I think that's going to earn you some relationships, Matt.
Yeah, that's the goal. And I mean, so on the property management side, it even trickles down into platforms that we use.
Right.
Most groups are going to say, hey, we use Yardi, or hey, we use MRI, or whatever. These are just property management accounting softwares and whatnot. It can be difficult doing this, but we have to be masters at all of them. Because we say, hey, landlord, if we're doing property management, what software do you want to use? You want to use MRI? Okay, we'll do that. You want to use Yardi? Okay, we'll do that. You want to use JD Edwards accounting software? Okay, we'll do that. And so we're, again, that customer service aspect of we're able to tailor it towards what they want, how they prefer to see things. it goes a long way with showing them that we truly care about that.
I love it. Well, Matt, thanks for the opportunity to help share Lincoln Property Company with me. I know I learned a lot. I love seeing you downtown. Seems like we've ran into each other for the last couple of months, almost at least once a week somewhere. We're at the same coffee shop, meeting with clients and learning about other people's companies. Thank you for your investment with the chamber, Matt. It means a lot to us.
Absolutely. And thank you for your guys' investment in Boise in particular, but Treasure Valley overall, the businesses that are around here. I mean, the businesses that are here, us especially, wouldn't be able to do half of what we're doing without your guys' support and help and everything. So I really appreciate you guys too.
Awesome, Matt. Hey, until next time, buddy, have a great weekend. Enjoy that Labor Day if I don't see you next week. And have a great day.
Thanks, Paul. You too.